This is me. This is my beloved wife, Sylvia. This is Sylvia's idea of sailing. This is my dream of sailing and my hope of circumnavigating the globe as a retirement project in 2029. This is Sylvia's reaction to that idea.
What? You got a plan?
I am on a 6-year quest to convince Sylvia that a circumnavigation is a wonderful adventure, but the clock is ticking, so join me as I search for the perfect yacht that Sylvia will love, and get all your ladies to subscribe and cheer Sylvia on in the comments. Welcome back to Naval Gazing at Camp David. This week, we're heading to the shores of the Baltic for a look at the extreme end of comfort and luxury, the Sunreef 60. Today, we will 1. Review its specifications, pricing, and layout against 3 similar new vessels. 2. Do a full tour asking, what would Sylvia say? 3. Naval gaze at an innovation or technology that just might make life aboard a little easier. 4. Have a look at the used market for 3 to 5-year-old comparables. And 5. Give it a Dave score and compare the results with all our previously reviewed yachts. As always, all this fun will be sandwiched between a pairing of wine, in this case spirits, and a work of art from the same region as the guest yacht in an effort to capture the culture and people who gave birth to these wonderful vessels. Waves, wine, art, and ideas. What a civilized way to spend 30 minutes, so let's get going. From high above Vancouver, we head southeast across North America and the Atlantic, all the way down to the tip of the African continent and the home of last week's future yacht, the beautiful Balance 580. From here, we head north up to the shores of the Baltic and the yards of Sunreef Yachts, home of the Sunreef 60. Finally, we hop southwest to the distilleries of this week's spirits pairing, Zubrovka Bison Vodka. The European bison can claim the title of Europe's largest land-dwelling mammal, and its presence has made the Białowieża primeval forest an EU special area of conservation. But perhaps its greatest claim to fame is being the namesake of a beloved, highly particular Polish vodka known as Zubrovka, or bison grass vodka. Like many Polish vodkas, Zubrovka is distilled from rye. The spirit is then, however, poured through bundles of bison grass, so called because it is enjoyed by the bison who roam the primeval forest, which it is hand-picked and dried under natural conditions. As the vodka seeps through these enchanted bales, it picks up a litany of subtle flavors alien to standard vodka. Woodruff, vanilla, coconut, cinnamon, almond, lavender, and of course grass are among the hints detected by those who have drunk the forest's elixir. The process sometimes gives the drink a slightly yellowish tint that is brought out further by the customary blade of bison grass enclosed in each bottle. Since the area is protected, only a limited amount of the greenery can be harvested each year. Having a look at the Sunreef 60 now, it is a very distinctive vessel with almost oyster-esque vertical seascape windows in the side hull in sets of 3. She has some massive freeboard here. I can only imagine the windage on this thing. But it's a handsome vessel. There's no doubt about it. Given its size and everything, it really does have a very upscale look and feel to it. You can see a massive forward cockpit on this with wonderful access from the saloon straight through, a beautiful, expansive aft cockpit, and of course, look at that wonderful flybridge. For those of you, of course, who prefer a sportier version, this is not your kettle of fish by any stretch of the imagination, and you would feel some isolated up on that bridge, although the hot tub in the aft of it would probably soothe your issues with it a fair bit. Looking at our new comparables this week, we're looking at the Lagoon 60, the Privilege 580, the Sunreef 60, and just for fun, the Exquisite 60 Solar Sail. The profiles of all of these are very attractive. Probably the least attractive of them is the Lagoon 60, which in and of itself is a good-looking vessel at this, stretched out to this degree. But you can see the profile of the Sunreef 60, you'd think it would look a lot chunkier, but it really doesn't. Obviously, the Privilege 580 and the Exquisite 60 Solar Sail are the most attractive here. You can see the overall size and windage on each of these. Obviously, the Sunreef 60 definitely has the highest windage and freeboard of all of them. Hopping down onto that wonderful flybridge area, the Lagoon 60, of course, is epic in size and dwarfs all of the others. The Privilege 580 has a fly lounge, as does the Exquisite 60 Solar Sail, because they both have a lovely bulkhead-mounted mid-helm where you can communicate both with the upper fly lounge and the lower cockpit and even into the saloon. The Sunreef 60 has a traditional flybridge similar to the Lagoon 60, much beamier but not as long. In this one, you can't quite see the. This one doesn't have the hot tub in the aft, but you will see that in some of our video. The Exquisite, again, very nice. The only thing it's really missing would be a front cockpit. The Sunreef 60 has full access front cockpit from the saloon. The Privilege 580, the same, and the Lagoon 60 now also has that. So all really nice layouts. Hopping into the saloon area, now, you can start to see here that the Lagoon 60, very strong in the square footage there, but probably overall, in looking across these, the largest square footage in the saloon area is going to be the Sunreef 60, just with the sheer beam, and it has even a longer depth to it than any of the others. The runner-up would either be this Lagoon 60 or the Exquisite 60 Solar Sail. The Exquisite really does have a very spacious saloon. The Privilege 580 would have the smallest of them, but still a beautiful vessel. And of course, it has an option of galley down, as does the Lagoon 60 and the Sunreef 60 also. The Exquisite is the only one that doesn't have that option. The aft cockpit on all of these, very spacious. The most limited would be the Privilege 580. The most spacious, wow, it's hard to tell. I would say it's the Sunreef 60 would take that, followed by the Lagoon and then the Exquisite. Forward, again, you have these beautiful internally accessed forward cockpits on the Lagoon 60, the Privilege 580, and on the 580 you not only have saloon access, but you have master cabin access. The Sunreef 60 and the Exquisite is the only one without a forward cockpit, although it does have sort of a faux cockpit with factory cushions there. Hopping into the accommodations here, where I could, I have selected a galley down, just so that we can have a look at that. That would be my preference. I don't have to look at my dishes when I'm lazy. All of these have spectacular accommodations, to say the least. I mean, you have the real estate. They're all normal height, 3-side, full access, athwartship berths, absolutely gorgeous on every front. I mean, you can't get any better than this. It's massive. And the Privilege 580, that forward master cabin, again, has access from the cabin directly up into the forward cockpit, which is quite unusual. Nobody else actually has that. And then if you look at the Exquisite, you can see an entire hull dedicated to the master cabin. Holy mackerel, on a 60-foot vessel, that would be absolutely palatial. It is the only one like that. Now, just to give you another quick glance at the alternate layouts for the Sunreef 60, here is a look in the saloon. You've got galley up in this one. It is a longitudinal galley. Here is galley down. You can see, the expansive space and relaxation area that you would have there. Here is the 4 cabin, really 3 in crew, galley down. Here is the full, 4 cabin plus crew, galley down. And then you've got a 4 cabin plus crew galley up. And finally, a 5 cabin plus crew galley up. Heading into the numbers here, things start to get really interesting. Looking across at the base prices, the most economical on this list is the Lagoon 60 by a hair at $2.5953 million. Next, quite surprising to me, I thought the Sunreef was more costly than this. It's the same as almost the same as the Lagoon 60 at $2.6044. Then we take a leap up. Not a huge leap up, to the Exquisite, 3.115712. Bearing in mind, the Exquisite is a technological wonder, and you're getting a lot for that base, and wait till we go to the sail away. And then the most expensive being the Privilege at 3.380. Now, we get into the sail away, and I don't touch this, but here we have one of those scenarios where the Exquisite is a highly loaded standard boat. So the plus 50% does not apply to the Exquisite. It was a struggle to find, a few $100,000 to tag on top. So your sail away on the Exquisite is 4.797, which puts it at the lowest cost of any of these vessels. And it is pure vinyl ester boat, brand new design, incredible tech, fabulous integrated solar. It really is an amazing vessel. And to be the lowest cost among the bunch, to me, there's just absolutely no competition here. This is the winner. Looking now then across here, you've got the Sunreef and the Lagoon tied at, you've got the Lagoon then at 4.162 and the Sunreef at 4.209. And then you take a big jump up for another million to the Privilege at 5.4 US for your sail away. Okay, looking now down at length overall, if you scan across, you'll see it's the Exquisite that's the longest at 61.7, followed by the Privilege at 61.1. Then it's the Sunreef at 60 and the Lagoon at 59.95. So, barely a foot between them. The beam overall, if you look across here, you're going to see it is the Sunreef, which is the beamiest at 33.5, followed by the Lagoon at 32.45, the Privilege at 30, and then the Exquisite, the slimmest, at 29.2. Bridge deck clearance was hard to find on these. I found it for Sunreef and Exquisite, and between them, the Sunreef is the highest at 3.75, with the Exquisite very close behind it, 3.5 feet. The light ship displacement on these, this is an interesting tale. So if you look across here, it is the Exquisite by a long shot. The lightest at 55,000 pounds or 25 tons. The next one is going to be the Privilege at 64,000 pounds or 29 tons. Then what is normally the big girl is in third place here, the Lagoon 60 at 76,000 pounds or 34.6 tons. And the Sunreef coming in at a whopping 83,776 pounds or 38 tons. Looking at the upwind sail area as we scan across here, it's the Privilege at the highest level with It is the lagoon at the highest level with 2,389 square feet, followed by the Privilege at 2,293, followed by the Sunreef at 1936, and then the Exquisite at 1754. Heading down into the engines, the Privilege and the Sunreef are the same at twin 75s. Then it's the Exquisite at 100 twin 110s and the Lagoon at twin 150s. The fuel and water tankage, the Lagoon has 1,300 liters of fuel. The Sunreef and Privilege are tied at 1,000, and then the Exquisite is 790 liters. As far as water goes, it's the Privilege in the lead at 1,000 liters of water, followed by barely behind by the Lagoon at 960, and then it's the Exquisite at 860 and the Sunreef at 800. Blackwater capacity, I was able to find it for all but the Privilege. And looking across here, it's the Exquisite with 430 liters of capacity, followed by the Lagoon at 318, and then the Sunreef at 170. Again, I wasn't able to find exterior area, interior enclosed storage, exterior lockers, or fridge and freezer capacity for any of these. And normally I'm a little hard on the manufacturers for not having that, but a lot of these are so customizable, I'm not sure. I mean, you could do a standard and have a bunch of stars beside it, but I sort of get it when we start getting up into these levels. Okay, getting into the more technical details, let's go for hull materials. As we look across here, I would have to say it's the Exquisite that stands out. It is composite construction, e-glass, foam core, vinyl resin with a bunch of carbon fiber reinforcements. Very, very good hull. Next would be the Sunreef. Now, it's a little confusing here, although I did talk to the manufacturer, the manufacturer's rep. He assures me that the Sunreef 60 is a solid vinyl ester, well, it's pure vinyl ester over a foam core with e-glass. There's not a lot of carbon reinforcement in this, but there is no wood in this at all. So it's just a hair behind the Exquisite. Although, there's conflicting stories on the internet that calls it a polyester boat. But I did speak to the head of sales at Sunreef, and he assured me it is a pure vinyl ester hull. Next, we would be looking at the Privilege 580. It is generally a polyester with a vinyl ester layer on the outside to prevent osmosis and a foam core. So good hull. Then the Lagoon 60, it's polyester with a balsa core. And again, there are engineering arguments back and forth between balsa and foam, but the Beneteau group is sticking to their guns and holding to end grain balsa. Not a lot of information available on, system voltage, battery bank size, factory solar capacity, all that good stuff. Again, I'm sure, very customizable, but there should be some base packages that are published. The Exquisite, on the other hand, is 24 volt. They got a massive 48 kilowatt hour battery bank and epic 6,000 watts of, and this says flexible, but I know it's glass. So ventilated glass on the Exquisite. Looking into the performance indicators, this is where the rubber hits the road. Sail area to displacement, or an indicator of power. Here we go. Top of the pile, by a long shot, the Exquisite, 25.7. The next closest is the Privilege at 22.9. Again, dispelling these rumors that a Privilege is a barge. It is not. The numbers and the construction and the real-world experience indicate this is a good sailing vessel. Next, the Lagoon 60, which surprises me. Well, it is 21.2, but then we've got the Sunreef at a staggeringly low 16.1. Amazing. Next up is displacement to hull length at the waterline, or an indicator of heaviness. Here it's the lowest number wins, and once again, it is the Exquisite that is way out in the lead at 123.3. The closest next one, again, the Privilege at 140.8. After that, it's the Lagoon at 160.1 and the Sunreef at 173.1. Very heavy. Now, Kelsail, KSP, Kelsal, I guess it is, KSP, the theoretical speed that the boat will achieve in 10 knots of wind. Don't ask me which angle, what point of sail. It's a calculated number, combining a lot of the data we've already looked at to give you a sense of what the percentage of wind speed is that these theoretically would achieve on flat water. So, if we look across here, in the lead by a long shot is the Exquisite at 79%. A very respectable second is the Privilege 580 at 73%. I mean, to me, from my application, anything above 70 is doable for me, understanding that I am leaning more towards comfort than performance. Having said that, last week's Yacht, the staggeringly beautiful Balance 580, I think it had a KSP of 95%, and that's a comfortable yacht, and yet, again, it's incredibly balanced. I don't know how they do it. Anyways, we've got the Exquisite at 79%, the Privilege 580 at 73%, the Lagoon at really a surprising 68%. I guess once you really stretch out the waterline, you can offset a lot of the girth. The Sunreef, though, the Sunreef 60, 59%. Now, I'm sorry, but with the technology and engineering available today, I get that they're building a large, comfortable yacht. But if Lagoon can do 68%, Privilege, which touts itself as a high-tier, high-quality, upper-crust vessel, with the engineering and material science available today, 59%, somebody in engineering over there should be ashamed of themselves. If what you see here gets you thinking about purchasing a yacht, please mention the channel to the manufacturer broker. I love hearing from viewers that their dream purchases may have started here, and who knows, the mention might just get me invited on a test sail or two. If you don't have a contact at your target yacht broker, please feel free to drop me a line at dave@navalgazing@campdavid.com, and I'd be thrilled to connect you with the right person. Of course, if you're enjoying the content, please take a moment to hit the subscribe button, then share the channel with a couple of friends and hit the like button. It's free and really helps the channel. You can also join our crew on Patreon, where you can enjoy ad-free viewing as well as downloads of the Excel specification and PowerPoint layout comparisons while helping the channel for a few bucks a month. You can find a link to the Naval Gazing at Camp David Patreon channel in the description below, where you can also click to receive information on some really cool virtual sailing training. Hopping aboard, what would Sylvia say? Well, needless to say, Sylvia's not big on the performance aspect and the comfort of this thing. This thing is to comfort what Gunboat is to performance. It's staggering. And in this week's episode, we have the benefit of actually looking at two different vessels so you can see different color combinations and layouts. You can see back here the beautiful aft cockpit, the rain shower head there, wonderful aft kitchen area here that contains, fridge and ice maker and barbecue. It's all there for you, a little sink, the whole thing. And we did see at the very beginning that lovely dinghy lift platform that turns into a beach. Our naval gazing today is on AI's role in yachting, and it's set to extend beyond structural innovation through predictive maintenance, an approach that leverages machine learning to monitor operational data of yacht components. This technology allows for condition-based maintenance, where sensors and flow meters in the systems, like the air conditioning seawater system, detect anomalies in the flow. Instead of routine time-based maintenance, engineers are alerted to specific needs, such as cleaning a sea strainer only when necessary. This shift from a fixed maintenance schedule to a conditional-based one enhances efficiency, significantly reduces operating costs, and minimizes downtime due to unforeseen breakdowns. Okay, back on board. We are going to head down into one of the aft port cabins here and give you a sense of the space and luxury that you feel. This is that crew cabin that we saw in the layouts here. You can see room for 3 crew and a lot of stowage underneath, as well as storage up top and locker space. It also has its own ensuite. You can see the thickness of the doors and the quality of the finish here. They really have done a great job as far as all that goes. Here is we're back up in the aft cockpit, scanning across, seeing what it looks like with that dinghy lift up. It really flattens out, and because there's no separation, it just extends your aft cockpit. Here is the saloon on we'll call it the white one, with a marble-esque top there, scanning across. You've got the forward nav station with a swing-out stool. It is a little surprising to me that in a 60-foot yacht, even with galley up, you only have seating at the dining table. There's no separate seating area, but of course, that's resolved when you go galley down. Look at the size of this galley. I think it's a little over the top. It's kind of like the original Neil 51, where you could land an F-15 on the countertop there. Here's a look at the, we'll call it the black one, with a darker veneer and, darker accents all around. Normally, this would be my gig, but looking at the lighter one, I actually prefer the lighter layout. This one, again, same layout with the galley up. You really have sort of limited seating space. We're back to the white one here, looking at this beautiful modular inside helm station. You've got all your controls there, and obviously great visibility out the front. They have the space for it. I don't know why they don't have a trawler-style captain's chair there where you could actually sit and raise yourself up to actually do your watch in comfort instead of sitting on some silly stool. We had a quick glance at that lovely door out to the front there as we swing around and give you a look at the runway-sized island and galley counter here. Here is that epic front door. I've got it in slow-mo so you can get a sense of it here. It's really quite something. And all electric driven. I'm not sure if I like that. I kind of prefer having the ability to control the speed of opening myself with a manual door. But look at your forward deck and your cockpit, your forward cockpit here. Nothing short of absolutely epic. You could have a football game out here. Beautiful forward cockpit area with the cushions. We're looking at the black one here. Here we're back to the white one. Lovely sunning cushions you can see in this one on either side, so you've got sun pads. And again, the wonderful airflow that you would have all the way through. I really do like on the Longeron that nice wide teak walkway up to the front. And of course, every sail is electric on this vessel, so you can control the entire vessel comfortably from the flybridge up top. Again, back to the black one here, giving you a sense of the different layouts. And we're going to just head down the side deck here. You can see the massive high bulwarks on this, unlike anything else you would see. And you've got solid rails. Bless their hearts, love solid rails. Flush hatches all the way along, which is really nice, and full teak. Again, their target is a very upscale buyer that probably is not your run-of-the-mill sailor here, because your run-of-the-mill sailor would shoot themselves at the numbers. But my wife, my Sylvia, would certainly agree to float around the world on this, regardless of how I felt when it was underway. We're going to head up top now, up these gorgeous teak steps with the full inlay there. Absolutely stunning. And the teak continues up here. All the tables are teak just the way I like them. I'd love a high gloss coating on those to avoid staining, but there you go. There's a nice captain's seat for you. It is a single seat, and there is the hot tub on the white one. I mean, now you could also get a hot tub, believe it or not, on the Aventura 50 motor sailor. Here is the black one with the having a quick look at the bimini here and around it. This one does not have the aft hot tub. The white one has a single captain's seat at the helm, and it is a single helm. Again, on a yacht this size, I would prefer to have two helms, but I suppose you are depending a great deal on closed-circuit TV on something of this magnitude. So I guess it's a moot point. Here is the black one, and it has a bench seat back to the white one, and you can see all your power winches, and you got beautiful forward sun pads reminiscent of the new 55 on the Jeanneau side. You can see over there, you got a barbecue kitchen station, you got built-in speakers. I mean, there's really nothing you wouldn't want here other than performance. There's your kitchen, your grill, your sink. So you got one upstairs, you got one downstairs, you got one in your saloon. You got three kitchens on this boat. I mean, I'd love to live on the thing, but I think Phil Berman has it better when you talk about balance. This is extreme comfort. Now we're going to head down into the port forward access way here, and I mean, look at the size. This isn't even a full hull cabin. And you got this massive full walk around, three-sided normal height. You got seascape windows that you're looking straight out like you're in a master suite on an oyster. You got marble covering the walls of your head here, if you could even call this a head. You have the biggest rain shower head known to man. You even have your own little settee. And by the way, that's not the only one in this. Here's another one of the same size. I mean, this is bigger than most Vancouver condo bedrooms. I mean, you're paying for it with the weight, but you are getting a significant value out of it. The style of finish that they do in these, not exactly my favorite. It's a little too much. About as far as I'd go is the oyster. Now this is nicely done. The textured woodwork there. I'm not sure if this is the light or the dark one. I think it's the dark one. Yeah. That textured woodwork along the wall there in the bedroom is reminiscent of a contest monohull. Very nice. And more bedrooms up the gangway here, or up the passage into the saloon of the white one. You can see the lovely different colored mood lighting that you have here. I mean, there's no lack of toys. Down we go into the starboard hull now. And we're going to have a quick look in that same hull on the dark one, and then the white one. It all starts to look somewhat the same, just gigantic with beautiful access. Now, full, separate washer and dryer. Of course, you'd expect that. I mean, there is no consideration for weight in one of these. It's not like, the guys at Gunboat or Oyster or Outremer where they're weighing out every accessory. These guys don't care. They just throw it on there, and you can see that in the weight numbers and the performance numbers, but also in the sheer sense of luxury, which is probably setting some people's hair on fire out there in the audience right now, because this is such an extreme on that end, with absolutely no consideration for actual performance as a sailing vessel. I think you could probably get a British Columbia chip barge to go as fast as this in a good wind with the windage. Okay, let us look at what we're going to compare this to on the used market. First up is a 2020 Sunreef 60 sail. So this is a 4-year-old boat. They're asking 3.35 million versus the brand new one at 4.2. I'm guessing that these vessels aren't sailed a whole heck of a lot, so this is probably in like new condition, unless it's a charter, which a lot of these are purchased for charter. But if it was privately owned, I'd go for the used one on this because they're just not going to be used that much. Now, do know that within probably 2 to 3 years, they are coming out with an updated version of these vessels. Next up, we're looking at a 2021 Moon 60. So a 3-year-old boat, they're looking for 2.5 versus the brand new 4.2. Moon is a newer vessel, but I would probably save the money and do the Moon on this one. The performance numbers just can't be any worse, so they got to be better. Just to really stir the pot here, here's a 2021 Outremer 5X. So almost as far the other end of the spectrum as you can get. They're asking 1.882. There's not a doubt that even though I love luxury, I would do the Outremer 5X on this. I'd probably add some weight with extra veneers and such, but I prefer my yacht, if I'm going to do a circumnav, to be able to sail. Okay, finally, we're looking at a Lagoon 2018 620. They are looking for 1.9 versus 4.2. It's a 6-year-old boat, but if this was the S2 version with the dark wood finish, which was the very last year they produced the 620, I would do the 620 and save my money. As you saw, this is actually going to, believe it or not, outperform the Sunreef 60. Okay, monohull heresy. What are we looking on the monohulls? Again, when we get into these 60-foot yachts, we're looking at 70, 72, 75-foot monohulls to equate the same living space. So, okay, first up is a Nator Swan 78, 2019, a 5-year-old vessel. They're looking for $7 million versus the 4.2. Now, one of these is a barge with a pole on it, and the other is a world-class sailing monohull. A very luxurious barge with a pole, but, for me, I'd have to go with the Sunreef on this one because the delta is just so huge, and my desire is excluded by that delta and my wife's desire. So there you go. Next up, we're looking at a 2018 C&B 76, a very lovely vessel. 6 years old, they're looking for 2.950, so $3 million versus the Sunreef Sail Away at $4.2 million. This one, I'd have to go with the C&B. Now, the only hesitation here is I definitely couldn't manage the C&B alone. The Sunreef, I couldn't manage that alone anyway. So forget that. I'd have to go with the C&B on this one. Next up, we're looking at a 2020 Yachts Y7, an absolutely stunning vessel in every measure. So you're looking at a 4-year-old boat, and they're asking 2.9 million versus the 4.2. Again, I would do the Y Yachts. Finally, one of my faves, the 2019 Hansa 675, 69 feet of amazing luxury and tech. They're asking 1.6 million for a 5-year-old vessel, and versus our 4.2. The Hansa 675. I might be able to shorthand. The Sunreef, I doubt it. Not with that kind of windage and freeboard. I just don't see it. So on this one, I'd save my cash and go with the Hansa 675. What would you do? Let me know in the comments. Well, that's our Waves, Wine, Art, and Ideas for one more week. This one, again, it's a comparison in extremes. You've got the Sunreef line, the Sunreef 60 and above at the wildly luxurious, wildly heavy, wildly we don't care about performance end, versus the other end of the spectrum, which is, say, the new Gunboat 70, where every gram is measured. Although, in all honesty, the Gunboat 70 is probably a more balanced vessel than even the Sunreef, because it is luxurious inside. Very purposeful, but it is luxurious inside. So let me know in the comments what you think of this vessel. I have had some audience members that have been asking me about the Sunreefs in comparison. I'd be very curious to hear what you say. I'm going to leave you with a wonderful Polish artist. I'm going to try the pronunciation. Please forgive me. Kazimierz Alchimowski, 1840 to 1916. Boy from the Swamps from 1896. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.